Okay, so I'm going to paint this now. If you don't have paints available, do not worry, even a tiny bit. Just go and get your pencils, get your crayons, get your felt tips, colour it in any way you want to. But for anybody who's been at the Little Art School and really knows what we do with watercolour, or for anybody out there who wants to find out about what we do with watercolour, I'm going to give you a quick watercolour lesson so you can see it. So these are the watercolours that we use with our Little Artist Club and Foundation course. So all you guys out there will recognise all of these little discs. And we're going to do a wash. So everybody knows about these. You just get a pipette here. You can see I'm going to put it in the palette, and I'm not going to fill it, about just over halfway with water, because what I'm going to make now is a watercolor wash. So here I go. I want it to be really dark. I'm going to do this really dark blue background. So I'm going to go into my darkest paint. You see I'm lifting the paint, and I'm going to go into here to make a wash. Now, the thing with watercolor is it's all about using the water. And if you want it darker, you add more paint. And if you want it lighter, you add more water. It's really that simple. And when we started the Little Art School, we always used correct watercolor techniques. And we find that all our students, even as young as 5, adapt very quickly. So I'm going to put some black in here because I actually want it to be even darker than that. Yeah, that's like a nighttime dark, really, is what I'm going for. I forgot to get tester paper, so I'll just test it on my... That's about right. Okay, so I've mixed this wash here. Now, I want you to watch what I'm doing. Make sure there's no rubbings out on there. I'm going to do something. I'm going to create a magic force field. So if you look here, I'm going to go around quite carefully. I'm using quite a big brush here because I want to do a wash. I'm going to go around, and you might think that when I start putting in lots of paint that it will go over the wings, but it won't. This is the magic of watercolour paint, that when you go in like this, look, I'm catching what I've got there. I'm going to cover the whole paper. I'll show you in a minute. Even if I tip it, it won't spill, because that edge I've created there is like a force field. So I'm doing a kind of night sky here for my snowy owl. I'm just putting the paint on very quickly in a really loose wash. I'm going to do the same here behind, and it will work in exactly the same way. And go right behind the book. Now, if you've not got paints, you could do this bit in pen, or you could use your colouring pencils or crayons lightly or on the edge of the pencil to really get a full good covering. And there we go. That is, now if I pick it up, you might think, and if I go like that, it'll tip to the edge, because I've got quite a lot there. I'm going to use this, which we call Artist's Best Friend. Other people might see it as being a kitchen roll, but we know what it is. When I go like that, can you see how it's holding? The force field's holding, even if it's dripping. And I don't want those drips there. I want it to dry like that. I'm going to go like that. I'm going to leave it to dry. It'll just take a minute or two. So we'll come back to that in a minute or two when it's dry. Okay, so we're going to do a couple more little watercolour washes. You can see my water's getting a little bit dirty now, but we'll go with it. Just want a tiny bit of green. I'm going to do the book in green. Yeah, actually, maybe I'll do this one. I'm going to do that. I'd want you to be able to pick any colour you want here. So I might do the book in a red. So you can see, look, all these reds are slightly different. So that one's kind of a pinky red. Let's go slightly darker. There we go. Got a red there. Because I'm going to do this scarf slightly differently, because Elizabeth asked me to do it Hufflepuff. So I will do Hufflepuff. For any Hufflepuffs out there, you go for your Hufflepuff scarf. Any Slytherins out there, you can go for your Slytherin colours if you like. Right, so there's my book. I have still got to decide what I'm going to call this one. The one on the picture I did is the Chamber of Secrets. I'm not sure, I might do something else for this one. So that's my red wash. And now I'm going to mix a brown wash here. So you can see I'm just going to go in. This is our darker brown. It's called a burnt umber. Dropped a little bit of my owl there, but I don't want to worry too much about that. There we go. Lift it up. It's a bit dull, that one. So I'm going to put some of this, which is burnt sienna, in as well. We'll go for that. Now, if I touch this watercolour, so what I'm going to do here is I'm leaving can you see that? A tiny gap. Now, as a demo, what I'm going to do is if I touch it, what will happen is, can you see that the red comes right in, and we don't want that. We want this little gap. You can either leave it to dry, and then they won't run into each other, or just leave that little gap like that. Can you see how the pink's run in? That's because it touched. So there we go, we've got our table now as well. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the scarf. So we are going to use a yellow. It's actually a yellow ochre I've got here, but I'm going to use a yellow. Do you remember these pencils from yesterday? I'm using this. I'm going to use a watercolour pencil here. So the more pigment I put down, the more I put down in there, the more we've got. Now, if you're using felt tips, you can do loads of different patterns here. And what I'd love to see, if you're using felt tips and you don't want to paint the background like I've done, you could put in Hogwarts, you could put in whatever you like. And you see I've left a little gap there because I don't want it to touch in. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to put in my black. Black and yellow, I've been told. Should have probably put in a yellow one there because I want his beak to be black. Lots of pigment there. I want that nice and dark. I'll put that stripe there. And again, look, I'm not going too close because that's still very wet on my book. And I'll go there and finish it off with this jaunty Hufflepuff scarf. Not sure Hedwig would have worn a Hufflepuff scarf, let's be honest. So maybe just on special occasions when Hufflepuff were playing Slytherin, maybe that's why he's wearing it. Right, and then I'm going to take my little brush here. I'm going to turn this bit to paint. I'm going to be quite delicate with this now. It's quite nice using a mix, and we quite often do this at the Little Art School. In the last couple of weeks we do this, where we'll use a mix. We'll use watercolour paints to get those gorgeous background washes, but we'll also use watercolour pencils for the more detailed bits. I'm not going to take it right up to the scarf. I don't want it to blend in. So there's not much water on this brush at all, very little in fact. I'm doing the black first, but I'm not, can you see I'm not going in to do the yellow ochre. If I go straight from the black into the yellow ochre, what we'll get, that's probably too much water. Can you see that? Lift that a little bit. What we'll get is that the yellow will turn black. So we need to make sure this brush is really nice and clean there, and then I'll go in and turn my yellow. There we go. I'm going to leave this bit to dry for a few minutes. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish off by doing my edges. Right, so we're going to finish this now. You can use a pen if you like, or you can use a pencil. I'm just going to use a black pencil here. But just to make it really stand out, let's bring that eye right up, and take it around like that, and the same on the other one. I'm going round. You see, it's still, keeping my pencil grip quite loose. I want to, rather than doing one solid line, you can do lots of little lines. Do is pop those little V's in for his little feathers. And as we come up around here, again, lots of little lines are going to give you this idea of it being sort of feathery here at the ends. Okay, so coming round to the edge, pop his little feet in. And going around the book. Now, my scarf's not really dry yet, so wait till the scarf's dry, properly dry if you've been using paints, but you can go around that as well. And I'm really curious to see whether we get masses of Gryffindors. Come on, Ravenclaws. I think we can have a few Ravenclaws out there, can't we? Now, this is your big decision time. What is your book going to be? I think I'm going to go for Harry Potter. And I love the Order of Phoenix, but I can't remember how to spell Phoenix. So I'm going to go for Goblet of Fire. And here on the table, you can just put a few little lines. So there's your basic Hedwig. You finish it however you want it. Make sure you send them to us. Load them up onto our into the comments section on the Hedwig post on Facebook. Cannot wait to see it. Get Granny to have a go. Get Grandad to have a go. Send off your pictures. Let's all get drawing, and we'll see you on Monday for the next daily draw.